Mulloway. Big, fat, heavy diver. Pretty straightforward bait, really. Not too technical in terms of design. The shape I've drawn is just based off a mullet, essentially, except the only difference is the head doesn't taper down like on a mullet and go like, a mullet's head go kind of flat, and the chin tapers up. The reason for that is just to allow the lip here to catch as much surface area as possible and to catch as much water, I should say, and really get it to dive down nice and quick. It's going to have glass rattle on the top here just for maximum noise, and probably a square or coffin shaped lip just for maximum deflection off structure, rocks, because it's going to be fished around rock walls and off rocky headlands and stuff. I'm going to use some reclaimed Oregon here. The reason I'm going to use that is it's a nice dense wood without being too dense that it hinders the action of a diving lure, and it will allow me to cast really well, which is the main focus of this build, is to have a lure that casts extremely well, because a lot of these divers that you buy from tackle shops are made of plastic and they still just don't cast well enough for what I need. So yeah, I'm going to make 4 of them, and yeah, I'm going to paint them in some natural colours like some bream, ledric, mullet, and I'm not sure what the other one be, maybe. So the design for this lure is to have it to be just a slow rising lure. So I don't want it to be sinking, I want it to still float, but only to float slowly. So all that will do is allow me to, if I hit structure, I can let it float back up off it, keep it in that strike zone, and then keep it rolling through. So yeah, that is it. It's very simple, and let's get into it, eh? So I've just got the profiles marked out now. Very simple, just a big taper all the way to the tail, 40mm back from the head, and I'm also keeping the body 30mm wide across the back there. I don't need all this timber, just to make sure it's not too bulky and it can still move through the water without catching too much water and giving it a really heavy, hard retrieve. Like, I want it to be able to retrieve really easily through the water, so don't want it too wide. Yeah, so it's just 8mm in the head, 6mm in the tail, and it's very simple. So I'll go cut this out and get it shaped up. Got to drill these holes for the rattles first. Before we do that, I'm only going to put 2 baits with rattles, and there's a really good reason for that, and that reason is I only have 2 rattles. So that's the scientific reason behind that design. I've also brought the mark where the hole's going. Oh, how's that testy pot? Brought the mark down 10mm from where it was. It's just sitting too high in the body. Put it a bit more centered, slightly above center. Should be all good. Actually, it really doesn't make sense to have it off-centered. I'll put it in the center, then the center of gravity's going to be much more level and won't screw up the action of the bait. Yeah, I don't want to have it too high just in case it messes with the the ballast of the bait, and weight it down here. I don't want something trying to pull it off at the top. So basically with lures, you want all your buoyancy in the top, and that's counteracted by the weight in the belly, and that's what helps it swim and helps it sit right in the water. There we go, a pair of rattle holes. So I just got all my body shaped up here, roughly, and I've just marked out a template or stencil for the chamfer lines for the bait. And you can see here on the belly that I've come up a long way, and the reason for that is they're going to be quite thick through the whole body. You know, it's only a 5mm chamfer on each edge. It's going to be quite square and bulky, I guess just like a mullet essentially. But on the belly here, I'm going to bring it in further. So this section of the belly is a lot thinner at the bottom, and then it will taper out back into the thickness in the tail. My theory behind that is I want to have a spot in the bait where it's basically neutral density or neutral buoyancy in the water. So it's going to be right where the hook hanger, the weight and the rattle will be on the two other ones. And the main reason for that is it's going to have all this buoyancy in the top, in the tail and in the front of the head here. And I just want this one section here to just really hunker down in the water and hold the bait steady and stable in the water. By having too much buoyancy and not enough weight in the belly, it can cause your lure not to run properly. And I really want this bait to be very stable because it's going to be used in washy, whitewash, like around rocks and in current and in the swell and surf. So that is basically an idea. Whether it will actually affect it in any way, I'm not too sure yet. I'll only find out once I test it. But I'm not sure if my point is even getting across. Neutral buoyancy right here in this one section with all this buoyancy above it and in the tail, and that will make it sit right in the water. It won't want to keel over on itself because there's too much buoyancy through the lure, and it will be nice and stable. So all the chamfers are marked, but before I start carving, I'm going to drill my pilot holes for screw eyes and also the hole for the lead up in the front. And I'm just going to drop these two small ball sinkers in there, and that should be plenty enough weight. You can see here I've just run into this big knot right here in the worst place possible, right where that concave belly is. You can see that it really doesn't want to go through, so I'm going to put this one aside and I'll just take that out with the belt sander later. Bait making in Australia. Kangaroos in the backyard. Oh, little Joey. So there we are, all roughed out. I just quickly went over the edges on the belt sander. And now it's just time to sand them all back by hand now and get them all smooth and get that profile completely finished. There we go guys, they're all roughly sanded back. Not finished yet because I got to fill in an imperfection there and fill in these whatchamacallits, rattle holes, and also got to put the weights in. So I'll get into that, and then once those are all in, then I can really finish the sanding real smoothly. And look at the grain on some of these, it's absolutely beautiful grain. I've got to put some eye sockets in too, for these eyes here, which I just made myself. They're not done. I've got to paint the iris and the pupil on yet. I've got some yellow for the yellow eye mullet, red and orange, purple, green, and then just some classic silvery eyes with a little bit of blue in there. So drill those eye sockets in and fill all the holes in, and then keep going on from there. Oh no, I've lost my glass rattles. Oh, where are they? Glass rattles, where are you? Ah, shit. Where did I put them? Gosh darn. Found them. They were exactly where I don't remember putting them. Time to fill these bad boys in. Once again, just using some fine wood dust and some super glue. The reason I use super glue over epoxy is simply because it sets really hard and sands back really easy compared to epoxy, which is always a bit like, I don't know, I just don't like sanding epoxy back. It's a bit softer, you know, so this super glue, you go through a lot more of it, but it works really well. And the best thing about it is if you get enough fumes coming off it, you get hot. Time for some more sanding. So they're all sanded down to, what is it, 140, sanding down to 140, and yeah, now it's time to make the hardware. And by the magic of filmmaking, we have 12, no, 1, 3, 6, 9, 12 screw eyes. Alright, let's glue these bad boys in. Am I recording? So you would have noticed then that I was actually just pressing the twist wires into the holes instead of screwing them in. And the reason for that being is one, I didn't have a small enough drill bit. So it was just one size too big. In a way it's better because with the 5-minute epoxy, it encapsulates everything in that hole. And it holds everything together and bonds it all together. So it's bonding the wood to the epoxy, which is then bonded to the twist wire, and it's bonded to every single twist in that wire. And there's, I don't know, probably like 40 twists in a wire maybe, 30, 40. So that's a lot of surface area for that epoxy to grab onto. You know, it's rated to 75 kgs, the epoxy, so you think all that epoxy in such a small area with so much to grab onto, it's got a lot of strength, so it won't be going anywhere. So there we have the 12mm eyes. I really need to invest in some force in the bits. Like, spade bit works pretty well, but force in the bits are definitely the go for those eyes. I'm going to give them a quick little tidy up with some sandpaper, and then it is time to seal. Pew. So just using Feast and Watson sanding sealer to seal these guys up, and all I do is brush it on, hang them up to dry, and then give them another coat. Protect your brain and wear a mask. Stay safe out there, guys. Yep, those screw eyes aren't going anywhere. So there's my lip design. As you can see, it's very square and there's a lot of surface area to grab a lot of water. Nice sharp edges, just going to go with that sharp square edge, just for maximum deflection of the stones. And I'm going to cut one of these out, and I will give the lure a test, swim with it in, and see if I like the action it gives it. You can see I got rid of this little angle just here, and just ended up cutting it straight, and it just makes it a lot easier. And it fits really well. So that's it there. It's quite a big lip. I might need to cut more off it, but it's going to catch a lot of water. Just depends how I want my action. If it's catching too much water and really thumping a bit too hard, then I might shorten it a bit. But I reckon it should be alright. Jesus Christ. Got it. There we go. What an absolute ordeal that was. Very nice. Dives deep really quickly too. It really gets down there, which is perfect. Rises up pretty quickly, but once he's got all the epoxy on him, he will rise a bit slower.
is a perfect action. He's throwing out so much vibration and bump. So I was a little bit naughty and I skipped quite a few steps. As you can see, they've all got their base colours on. So I glued all the lips in, gave them 4 coats of sanding sealer, and I've just put the base colours on, and now they're about to get their first coat of epoxy, and then I will finish the paint job on top of that. So this guy here is going to be the Ludwig. We got a gold bomber. That really bright one there is going to be a mullet. Doesn't look like it right now because it's super bright and spiffy, but that will turn into a mullet. And then that guy right there is just one of my colorways that I paint, and it really produces fish, so I'm going to make a big one of those. Alright guys, so I'm just painting this Ludwig pattern here. I just put the silver scales over, and then all I did there was put a really light spraying of some blue and some green just at the top here. And now all I'm going to do is just put the black bars on, and yeah, then that's all it is for the body, and then I'll go into the gill details. I haven't filmed any of the other paint jobs. I've been having a bit of a nightmare with painting lately, so I'll film this one and show you what I've finished at the end. There we are, just some simple bars. Nothing too fantastic. I don't have a super fine detailed brush, so my airbrush is pretty average, to be honest, so I can't get real fine lines. Airbrush is fine, it's mainly the compressor that's my issue. So I'll leave those guys and get into some gills. So a tiny bit of silver in the gills, and that's it. Now I put the fin on and the eye on, then I'm done. Keeping it simple. You can see where that crap stuck to it there, which is very annoying, but I'll try to get some paint on it and blend it in. got the purple and green eyes on, and she's done. Just gave it a satin gold fin. Nice and simple. It looks quite nice. Very effective colour scheme. Looks kind of just like a Ludric, which is what it's based off. And hopefully it should catch some Mulloway. Alright, time to clear coat this guy. Alrighty, they're all done. Let's check them out, eh? There's the fish catching colour, the Ludric. This one was meant to be a mullet, but it turned out being this really smick looking purpley blue, green scaled, silver scaled, black scaled, yellow eyed, cool looking lure. And then we got the gold bomber here. I'm not too happy with how he turned out. I had a lot of issues with air bubbles in the epoxy around the eye, and the paint job's kind of average in my opinion, but I fished him yesterday and he works great. I didn't catch any fish, but you can see he's nice, and the clear coat's nice and thick, so he held up to the rocks really well. But swam beautifully. Yeah, swam perfect the way I wanted it to. So give you a closer look. This one with the rattle. I'm looking forward to fishing this guy. That colour is my go-to. The Ludric looks amazing. I already posted this one on Instagram if any of you follow my Instagram. I'll put a link to that in the description actually. It's just at Kai's Custom Lures. This one looks beautiful. I love the gills on this one. And the paint scheme. He still needs 2 more coats of epoxy, but it looks really nice. So I really like that colourway. I'm going to start painting that a bit more if I sell lures. And the gold bomber. Bit beat up, but still hanging on nice and strong. So like I said, I fished the gold bomber yesterday off the rocks and in the swell, and it was super washy and a lot of current and just a lot of water moving around, and he swam perfectly fine. You can see all the chips off the lip here. He bounces off the rocks really well, which is really good. I didn't get snagged once, and I was ripping it right into the kanji, into the rocks, and he was just bouncing off, and I could let him float up. So I'm really happy with how it worked, and that concave belly seems to work really well. He sits really nice in the water, doesn't bowl over anything, just seems to hold him down really well, which is just what I wanted. So yeah, that's it. They're done. I'll post them online in the next couple of days. I think I'm going to keep these ones for myself. I was thinking of selling them, but I think I'll hold on to these guys and make another batch in the future. Thanks for watching everyone, and if you enjoyed these videos, please make sure to like and please consider subscribing, and I'll see you in the next video. Thank you.